Today, we're reviewing the horror thriller Heretic. Get ready for incredible plot twists. The film begins with a conversation between two missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton. The girls discuss the Book of Mormon and a curious video. In the latter, Paxton saw the remorse on the actress's face when she was caught filming, and concluded that there is such a high matter as the soul. The girls then ride their bikes through the streets and offer passers-by to learn more about a particular church of saints. Most people ignore them. Only teenagers mock the missionaries under the pretext of taking a selfie together, lifting Paxton's skirt to see something new. Upset, the girls arrive at the home of Mr. Reed, who had previously been interested in the church. After knocking on the door several times, mentally preparing themselves for the intrusive propaganda, the owner opens the door and invites them in. Since they are not allowed to be alone with the man, the missionaries ask if there is a woman in the house. The owner says that his wife is preparing a blueberry pie, and then the guests come in. While Reed goes to get the treat, the girls look around the house, noting that it is a mess. Reed returns with soda, coffee, and a scented candle. He asks how the girls came to religion. Barnes admits that after her father's death, her mother became religious, choosing among several churches until she settled on the Mormons. The owner, who has long studied religions, trying to understand which one is true, is well aware of the Book of Mormon and its author, Joseph Smith. Reed even has a copy of the book. He asks if Father Barnes has tried to contact her from the other side. To smooth over the awkwardness, Paxton says that after she dies, she wants to become a butterfly and fly to those she cares about. Mr. Reed asks how the girls feel about marrying many people, as this is one of the original Mormon ideas that was later abolished. Joseph Smith, according to various sources, had about 20 wives. Barnes skillfully gets out of an awkward situation by explaining that this way the number of community members increased in unfavorable conditions for survival. When the situation changed, the practice was simply abolished. Mr. Reed turns the conversation to food, comparing theology to fast food. Over the years of studying different religions, he has developed an aversion to this topic. Paxton asks the host to call his wife to observe Mormon traditions. When the man leaves, Barnes notices that the scented candle on the table smells like blueberry pie. When Reed returns, he asks the girls to wait, but they say that their superiors have called and want to talk to them in private. The missionaries decide that it is better to leave the house. Reed is waiting for them in the library, but he is not going to keep them because he is busy fixing a leak in the attic. The girls' coats are hanging on the back of a chair. Taking the clothes, the missionaries look for the key that mysteriously appeared in Paxton's pocket. The guests ask the host to open the front door. He says that the lock is on a timer and will only open in the morning, so they will have to go out the back door, of which there are two. In the end, Reed admits that he has exposed their deception. No one called them. The house is lined with iron that blocks cell phone signals. When asked to call his wife, Reed asks if the girls believe she exists. Despite a number of circumstantial proofs of his lie, the missionaries realize that he is doing this on purpose to show that not everything that is said convincingly is true. The owner suggests that the girls decide which door they will go out of. Barnes opens one, looks in, then closes it and walks over to the other. Behind them is a staircase leading to the basement. Paxton checks the first door. There are also stairs down there. The girls tell him that the elder will be looking for them. At this time, he actually checks the map and says that there is a rock behind the house with a tunnel under it. To find out where it leads, the missionaries have to make a choice. The host puts on a show for the guests. He puts on a music record and takes out several boxes of board games of different versions, stacking them on the table next to the symbols and holy books of the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Reed explains that board games and religions are different iterations of the same source material, just like the song playing in the background. Mr. Reed asks why later versions have become more popular. Christianity Christianity has overtaken Judaism, and Monopoly, which is a plagiarized version of the game Landlord, has become a world-famous brand. He clarifies that there are more than 10 deities in world religions born on December 25th, Christmas Day, and the myth of resurrection after death appeared thousands of years before Christ. Echoes of this myth still resonate in contemporary culture, including even pop culture, such as Star Wars. The owner himself answers, "It's all about marketing by preachers like the Barnes and Paxton sisters." He points to the doors labeled faith and unfaith, inviting the girls to choose which one they will go through. While he is changing the record on the gramophone, Barnes picks up the letter opener that is on the documents and hides it in his pocket. Paxton decides to play along, choosing the door unfaith, as if his words have convinced her. However, Barnes refuses and argues with the host, reminding him that there are many differences in religions besides similar elements, and his metaphor with board games is offensive. The girl gives several examples, although they are more emotional than factual, including the outward difference between Egyptian gods and Christian ones. Then the two friends go down through the Vera door together. Mr. Reed closes the door behind them, forcing them to illuminate it with his phone flashlight. At the bottom of the stairs, they find another door leading to a basement with a high, leaky ceiling, a table and chair, and a second door leading to the unfaith aisle. Realizing that they are trapped, Paxton almost goes into hysterics, while Barnes decides to act. She puts the furniture back in place before anyone comes in. Barnes gives her friend a hidden knife and tells her to stab Reed when she hears the code word. They agree on the code word, magic underwear. Someone in a hoodie enters the basement with a flashlight and a plate of blueberry pie. The visitor puts the pie on the table and sits in the corner. The missionaries hear music over the PA system as Mr. Reed turns on the gramophone, arranging the figures of the characters in a miniature replica of the estate. He is also carving a new member out of wood. While he's busy, Barnes goes upstairs to the door of unfaith through the open door. Through the crack, she sees a box of matches on the carpet, but she doesn't have time to do anything because the owner is in touch. Back in the basement, Barnes talks to Reed. He claims that the man in the hoodie is a true prophet of God. The owner says that over the years of searching, he has found the true religion, a distant echo of which is in all others. As proof, Reed wants to show the girls a real miracle, the resurrection. The girls watch as the prophet sits down at the table and eats a poisoned pie, after which he falls face down. The owner asks the captives to check her pulse and breathing to make sure she is dead. Despite her involuntary muscle spasms, Barnes checks her breathing and confirms that the prophet is dead. Reed says that after the resurrection, the woman will tell them what happens after death. The wait is interrupted by an unexpected doorbell. A Mormon elder, looking for his wards, has come on their trail. The missionaries rush upstairs, preparing to scream, but it's no use because Reed slams the door before opening the disguised front door lock. The owner lies that he hasn't seen anyone. Meanwhile, the captives try to reach through the crack to the matches on the carpet to light a fire and signal with smoke. The elder leaves, passing the fence behind which the parked bicycles have disappeared. When he gets downstairs, Paxton notices that the prophet's body is lying in a different position. Barnes tells them not to be distracted. They try to set a piece of cloth on fire. Suddenly, they are interrupted by the prophet, who has regained consciousness. Reed comes down to take the resurrected woman out. Then he asks the captives what she said. He insists that the afterlife exists, that he has irrefutable proof, and that the girls can see for themselves. However, Barnes does not believe him. She believes that the man is just joking, trying to persuade them to die voluntarily. The girl says that she experienced clinical death as a child and saw something similar to the prophet's description. This is a typical description of near-death hallucinations repeated by many people who have experienced death. She is not impressed by Mr. Reed's entertainment. Barnes insists that this was not a miracle, but a banal trick. After this phrase, the knife eliminates her. Panicked by the blood, Paxton runs away, but the upstairs door is locked. When she returns, she sees Reed, who convinces her that her friend is about to be resurrected. When this does not happen, he makes an incision in her arm, where a scar is visible, and pulls out a foreign object. The man says that this is the point. Barnes is not real. She is a program, and therefore will not be resurrected. He explains that the world is subject to the concept of the butterfly's dream, and people live in a simulation, waking up in the real world after death. Since Barnes was a program and never actually lived, she doesn't exist in reality, so she won't be resurrected. Paxton does not believe him. She criticizes this hypothesis, stating that the implant is a hormonal contraceptive. The girl believes that there was no resurrection, and Reed replaced the woman's body with a living double while the captives were searching for matches. However, when the prophet added an impromptu speech about unreality to the prepared speech, it forced the master to improvise on the fly, inventing a version with a simulation. The host objects and suggests finding another way out of the basement. Paxton notices a drain under the table, where water from the leaky ceiling flows down. She finds a disguised hatch leading to a tunnel. Reed suggests that she go down and see for herself. He also says that the only true religion is waiting for her there. Paxton goes down and finds a body in a puddle. Reed closes the lid behind her, forcing her to move forward. The girl passes through several rooms separated by doors with symbols of different religions, until she comes to a door locked with a bicycle lock. She takes the key out of her coat pocket, realizing that Reed had planned everything in advance. Even the fact that she, not Barnes, would end up here. Behind the door is a room with cramped cages where other prisoners are kept, acting as prophets. The master himself comes down another passage to feed them. Paxton confesses that she understands his cunning plan to lure people into a trap and cover his tracks. The whole game was conceived to convey one simple truth to people disillusioned with all the world's religions. The only true religion is control. Reed confirms her guess, saying that absolutely all religions were invented by people to control others. She says that she has been controlled all her life, even in small things like food or her choice of underwear. At this point, Paxton remembers the knife and stabs Reed directly in the neck, leaving her bleeding to death. The girl runs for the exit, but her wandering through the tangled corridors leads her back to the basement where her friend's body lies. Reed is waiting for her there, bleeding to death, trying to finish her off. However, Barnes, who turns out to be alive, stabs him with a stick of nails, saving Paxton. Barnes dies in his girlfriend's arms. Paxton goes upstairs, where she studies the layout of the house and finds a way out. She walks through the clean snow to meet a new life. Hunched over in pain, she notices a butterfly landing on her hand, just as she had once dreamed. Suddenly, the butterfly disappears, like a dying hallucination of a dying brain. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to the channel, like us, and be sure to click on the bell to stay up to date with our new videos.